Toscano here, and welcome to the Monday night live stream. We're actually going to be talking about the drumming of James Gadson tonight and exploring the drumming of James Gadson tonight. And that tune, Use Me, which I know is like, you know, everybody knows that one. That was the first Bill Withers tune I ever heard or had to play. I don't know if it's the first one I heard, but it's the first one I had to play. And it was funny because I was playing with Nikki Armstrong and her group, and I thought it was an original of hers because I wasn't really hip to like the whole Bill Withers thing at the time. And so I had heard it on Nikki's CD, and I was like, oh, that's a cool tune, not realizing that it had been recorded way earlier. And then when I did finally hear the original, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not with it. So anyway, Use Me, and I have a co-host tonight. But before I get into the co-host thing, I just want to tell you about, if you like what we do here, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. There's a Linktree link in the description. It's a QR code as well. And I also have my little Kitco site if you want to find out about the technology stuff. And also, what else is up there? Oh, I want to mention Prologic's practice pads, Sabian cymbals, offset pedals, and all these lovely goodies. I don't have my Prologic pad over here, but I have my snare top for my pad over here from the all-in-one pad. So anyway, and also I want to mention my book, Filling in the Grooves. If you're into getting a vocabulary or a library of drum fills together, there's over 750 drum fills in my book. So check that out on Hudson Digital or in print from Alfred and Wisdom Media. And yeah, so that's all the announcements. Now, my co-host, Vincent LaRussa, up in the top corner there. I'm pointing to the corner, I believe. And that's Vincent LaRussa. He is a good friend of mine and a former drum student, because he is a complete, he left drumming behind and almost entirely, and all he does is play bass now. He has 900 basses in his living room, and this is where it's gone. This is what's happened.
Thanks, Jim, as everyone's Googling my address.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just one of every bass that it's like his thing with snare drums, right? He wants every snare drum. He wanted every snare drum. Now
what does it say? My shirt says what? You can never have. This is
too many basses.
Too many guitars.
Now, I just got a text from Bob, and I'm going to check it out real quick. Turn your headset mic. Turn on your headset mic. My headset mic is not loud enough. Is that what you're saying, Bob? Let's check in about that. So I just turned it up a lot, and I don't know if you're talking to me, Bob, or Vin. But by the way, we're streaming on a new rig tonight, so I would really appreciate. And actually, why don't we check into the chat now, Vin?
Okay.
And I would appreciate any feedback, because we're streaming on a different computer, a different switcher system tonight than usual. And
this is my first time switching, so.
And Vincent's doing the switching, and he could probably read me the comments. But
okay.
What I'm wondering is, again, sound-wise, picture-wise, is everything okay? Just give us some feedback, because this is a new system that we're running. So, what do we got in the chat, Vin? Anything to speak
I'm gonna
of?
Get up there. Let's take a look. Turn on your microphone, headphone mic, Jim.
I did that. I mean, I turned it up.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that you heard drums and you didn't hear my voice enough. I just turned it up much louder. I hear you, but sounds like your room mic is picking it up. Okay. So you're not hearing like the direct mic on my headset.
Am I clear? Bob, Mr. Bob.
Bob, give us feedback about Vin's voice.
Yeah.
And actually, ironically, the room mic is off. So that's a little worrisome. But do let us know if it got any better. I did turn it up a lot. And actually, I mean, was the music loud enough? Before we really dig in, could you hear the drums loud enough? So give me that feedback, Bob, if you would. And you could just text it to me, since I need a little bit of feedback. Something just came up.
Yes. So looks like my dad said he can't chat. So I don't know if he's telling me on here or on there, but he usually
up there.
He usually tunes in. So
okay. Something else came in.
Okay.
Because before I start talking about content, I want to make sure you guys can hear me.
It's the newest one is on top. Yes, I hear you both just fine from Steve Bell. I can't read it so small. Bell. I can't read it.
Volume.
Okay, Bob Sears. I hear you both. It's just fine. All music is loud enough. So it looks like we're ready to go, Jim.
Okay. All right. So apparently we may have to start tweaking some things. So keep us posted. I did bring up the voice mic a bunch, so hopefully that's happening. So anyway, so as you guys know, we've started this new little series that we're calling Groove Masters, and so we're exploring the drumming of different guys, and we're doing it together, bass and drums, so that we can present some of the groove material that's been recorded by some of our favorite musicians. And in this case, James Gadson has been a really prolific and much recorded artist over decades and decades, and even I was looking at his discography in as late as 2019. He was recording with Harry Styles on a track that, man, I didn't even know would have been Harry Styles, but he was playing like a really cool gospel-y 12/8 kind of track, and the man is recorded with everybody, and also kind of recently. Lady Gaga and some of the pop artists. He recorded a bunch with Beck, which check out the Beck stuff, man. He's playing so simple but so deep in the groove. Really, really interesting stuff. And talk about, basically playing for the song. Man, he's just laying down simple pocket, deep groove. Like, you could feel his roots just coming right through it. So it's pretty amazing. That first one, Use Me, it's kind of a funny thing, Vin. If you take the bass drum and snare drum pattern and you play eighth notes and speed it up.
What do we got?
Here's the pattern. Ready? So this would be like the maybe near the chorus. 2, 3. Does anybody recognize that? So I thought that was kind of interesting that the actual underlying pattern is that. And so on this track, Use Me, he's playing really busy. And he kind of got known for this 16th note thing, out of the whole Bill Withers thing. And I'm going to go through a little bit of the history and introduce actually who the man is. But I just wanted to reference that first track. And I was looking at the pattern and I was like, oh, like the Immigrant song is underlying in there. Okay, so let me just talk real quick. So he was basically born June 17th, 1939, and lived in Kansas City. And so he was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and he played with the first lineup of the Charles Wright Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band. And he was kind of talking about that Charles Watts hired him and fired him 5 times because he couldn't play R&B. Which I thought was really funny. And then in one of the interviews that I heard with Gadson, he said that that Watts just said to him, just keep time. Just play 4 on the floor and just keep time. And so that's kind of where he started to kind of cut his teeth, was in that band. And he also played with Dyke and the Blazers, which if you don't know who they are, I made a little note about this. I had never heard the tune before, but he referenced the tune Funky Walk from Dyke and the Blazers. So check that out. There's actually a Funky Walk Part 1 and Part 2. Did you know that, Vin?
I did not know that. I didn't even know there were any parts.
Yeah, so that's a super funky tune. But so Dyke and the Blazers. And then, if you look at his discography, and this is what I love about, so for me and for a lot of drummers, these are the underdogs, right? It's like, not to say that there's a generation of people that definitely know James Gadson's work and really understand it, but I would say that most kids today have no idea who James Gadson is.
Well, one of the things I wanted to comment is this was also, a lot of what his body of work was in the 70s, which was really a wonderful time for session musicians to record, and some of the greatest performances were ever put down by not the band member, but the session guy. I mean, so
yeah,
I feel like if there was a time to be a session player, the 70s was maybe the best time.
Yeah, for sure. And I do want to mention that, Dom Famularo did, there's a 2-part sessions panel interview with James Gadson. So go to YouTube, the sessions panel, not now, go later, and check out Dom's interview with him, which I think is really brilliant. And it started me thinking, man, he's around, and the guys that are still with us that have laid down this pavement for us to explore groove, and what a lot of us have based our playing on is listening to these guys. I'm going to ask him to come on the show because, you hear that, James Gadson? I'm coming for you. Because, man, he's around. Everybody should really get a hold of these guys while they're here and hear their stories and learn about them. And he's been doing the podcast circuit. So, I mean, I know he's doing interviews and stuff. And rightly so. Everybody wants to understand a little bit of James Gadson. So I think that's really, really cool. The chat is still up. If there's any comments or questions, we'll grab it now, and then we're going to dig into the next tune. And then I'm going to go back and go through more of his discography and kind of more about some really important sessions.
Bob Sears got Led Zeppelin Immigrant Song, just so. Credit to Bob.
Nice.
Does he get a prize?
He gets a prize. Bob, you get a prize. You win, what do you get? You get a Use Me chart by
a used me chart.
A used me chart. Actually, that brings up a good point. Is that I'm on a different system, so I'm not able to share the PDF at the moment. I'm resetting up all this stuff, but there is a PDF of tonight's material, and so I transcribed a bunch of stuff and put it into sort of a 5-page Gadson Grooves document that I'm going to put into the MailChimp mailing. In the morning I'll send it out to everybody, or maybe tonight if I can get to it tonight, and send out that chart for you guys. And so if you do sign up for the mailing list, if you're not already on it, you'll get those transcriptions. And there's actually a little chart from one of the tunes that we're going to do, like almost a full chart, because I was like writing it out and I'm going like, where do I stop? There's all these cool things, I got to put them all in there. So let's do another tune, Vin. What do you think? You want to play something?
Yeah, so go full screen, huh?
Go full screen. So, and again, if you guys hear anything wanky going on from a sound perspective, not from the playing, that's going to happen anyway. But if you hear anything from a sound perspective, just let us know. Let's do Lovely Day. Who wrote Lovely Day?
Doris Day? I don't know who.
So isn't Lovely Day Bill Withers? But there's a version of Lovely Day where he's doing it with damn. I'm gonna look it up.
I'm
real
supposed
quick.
to save you here, but
You're supposed
I'm
to
doing
save
a terrible
me,
job.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. Let me just see if I have it right here, because I think I have this. Hold on. No, of course I don't. All right, I'm not saving it.
Right.
Well, I'm going to look that up afterwards because I think this is a. I keep wanting to say. It's not Grover Washington Jr., right?
I'm gonna look it up right now for you because now you're gonna keep everybody.
He's going to look it up for me. I was going to play the tune, but then I looked in my playlist. It's not there.
It's written by Bill Withers and Skip Scarborough.
All right, Skip Scarborough.
I don't know who
That's
is.
who I would have guessed.
Skip Scarborough. Actually, there's a Wikipedia on him too.
Well, we're not going to do that now.
No.
Skip Scarborough's for next week.
Yeah.
All right. All right, here we go. 1, 2. You got this, yeah? 1, 2, 3. Huh. Oh, wait, I want to shut this mic off. I know. It's crazy. I'll bring it back. 2, 3. Lovely Day by Bill Withers. So, man, I have one student that's a ginormous Bill Withers fan, and you would just never expect it from this one kid, but it's really amazing that he's all over the Bill Withers. So every week, all we play is Bill Withers. Wow. Every single week, awesome. And this is one of them. So what's kind of cool with this tune for me, he's really is playing the bass part, which you don't hear a lot of that from some of this other Bill Withers stuff. He's actually playing note for note with the bass. So in that opening thing, there's lots of space. The opening section, 2, 3. And so that's it's a good intro approach. And then when he kicks into the groove, it kind of stays there for the remainder. A lot of these tunes does not really deviate, and the only fills are very simple section setup fills, right? So I didn't do the crashes in it just because it's bass and drums, but he'll crash on the downbeat going into some stuff, and that's the other thing that I learned by listening to a lot of the James Gadson stuff is that oftentimes he's only doing a crash on a ride, and he explained that being that when they were doing sessions, they would have to lug their own drums and stuff, and so they would bring a really small kit. So he might bring a kick drum, a snare, one tom, a ride cymbal, and a hi-hat, and that's it. And so oftentimes the ride cymbal was doubling for your crashes and your rides. So you do hear a lot of just ride taps, which I love that sensibility and have stolen that sensibility for many things that I've done. And so there's that. And then the other thing he did mention too is that early on, he didn't even have a hi-hat when he started playing with Charles Watts. He only had a ride cymbal, a snare, and a bass drum. And he said, and then he got a hi-hat later on, but it's kind of funny in a lot of the stories that I've heard when he's talking about not even having a hi-hat. But yeah, so that's Lovely Day, and I would say, again, it's just laying down really simple grooves. That is definitely coinciding the whole groove, bass drum, and the bass player. So I want to talk about Lean On Me. And what's funny with Lean On Me, give me that cloth over there. You got that thing? I want to mute my floor tom for this. And the drum recording is really interesting because it's very, very low in the mix. And I think early on, like when I was a kid, I had no idea what people were playing. I could not hear what was happening on the drums because, let's say there was a percussion part. It was hard to decipher the way things were recorded. What was a drum part? What was a percussion part, right?
Plus, you were listening to it on your Welcome Back Kotter turntable, so it was,
that's true. Yeah. I was on the Welcome Back. I was on worse than that. Man, my stereo is a scary thing of like a Franken stereo that I put together with different pieces when I was a kid. But yeah, it was really hard to decipher stuff, and so this one, early on, I was always like, what the heck is he playing on this thing? And it's a really cool drum part. I think it really serves the song and is kind of unexpected, I think, at times when you hear it. I wanted to mute a couple more drums, but I think I'm just going to just deal with it. But we're going to play this track, and can you kind of like do the piano part on the bass in the beginning of Lean On Me? And then I'll just come in after like 4, okay, and we'll play through these couple parts. So there's 2 very cool parts, and I want to talk about the backbeat section when we get in there. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're right, though. We should have stopped there. That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah,
we only rehearsed
cool.
it once.
That's true. We only rehearsed it once. So, something about that. I mean, actually, he's using 2 toms in that thing. So, but what I think is kind of interesting, it's almost got a samba thing underlying, in this tune. So, Lean on Me, another Bill Withers tune. This came out. That was still Bill. This record, which is like, really the record that put, I think that, and many people would agree that it put James Gadson on the map as being like a great groove player. Did you ever play that tune before? Like, no?
No, just Use Me I did. But
okay.
I realized by you playing, I was playing it always wrong, so thank you for that.
Well, we try to be true to the tracks. We try to be true to it. Through this process, we've been learning that James Gadson, he played on everything. And like he played on The Trooper by Iron Maiden. And no, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. He played on the first AC/DC album. No, that's not true either. But he's on a lot of like killer records. Let me just talk about those 2 parts, and then I'm just going to reference his discography, and maybe we'll check in the chat in a minute. But this part where he's playing on the floor tom, and he's playing 8th notes, and then he's actually putting his backbeats on another tom. And then the bass drum part almost has this little dum da dum dum da boom 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 ba boom boom, and he does that in the other section too, which I think is really cool. So he's playing this, and the other thing that I like is at the top of each section, he does those little ride cymbal taps. Play the line with me. 2, like the regular verse line. 2, 3, 4. And then he drops it. And then each time this section comes around, he puts it in twice again and then takes it out. It's just those little details that I think are so brilliant from him. And it put the right sparkle on that part. And then I'm like, oh, and then it goes away. But it fits, it's very lyrical playing. He's hitting words that he's bringing out, certain words. I don't know if that came from a producer or if that came from him, from James himself with those parts, but it's a great part. And then when we go to the chorus, what I love is this, I usually use a smaller, crackly or snare because there's a hand clap on the track. And the hand clap is really cool because it's a hand clap. Yeah. It's not like a drum machine or something. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that part, like if it was, it's almost got that little samba thing, just slowed down. Do the hand clap. Yeah, you can't hear that. But the hand clap is like, he's like, whoops. But I think the hand clap thing is really cool, and he's bringing that out in the snare, and he's not hitting hard. And most of the stuff that I've watched him playing on, he's digging in, but he's not hitting hard. And that's where I think the feel, the kind of the greasiness of the feel comes in. It's really greasy feel, and it's great. The grooves slide around a bunch, it's really, really killing. So that's Lean on Me. Why don't you check in that chat window real quick and say hello to our little buddies. And Bob Sears hasn't made any rude comments since. No, of course, Bob, we love you. And thank you for the feedback, because otherwise I don't know what's going on here. It's hard to tell.
Do you want me to read some of these?
Yeah, what do we got?
All right, we got Frank DiOrio says, sounds great. We got
Frankie
Cheech.
We love you, Frankie.
As I call him, Frankie Cheech.
Frank's a great drummer.
Yeah.
I love Frankie's playing, man. I heard Frankie when I was much younger. I was studying like jazz and fusion, and he was playing with Neighborhood Jukebox, and I go out and see those guys play in Sheepshead Bay with my buddy Rob Glick, and yeah, man, Frankie was man, pocket.
And even
Yeah, baby.
even before I played with him, you had told me about that. You
I
knew
did.
this, yeah, and then years later, you know.
See, there you
It's
go.
a pretty cool story.
Crazy.
So what else we got? John Gill. Hey Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, John Gill. What's up, brother?
We got Lucia here.
Lucia!
Congratulations, Bob. And I think she said something about, she said your name and my name.
Oh,
that's cool.
Nice.
Oh, well, no, Lena.
Oh, Lena. Yeah.
Lena on me. See what I did there?
Lena on me. That's great.
Let's see, with Ross Amoroso, our friend.
What's
Hello.
up, Ross? What's doing, brother?
Okay. And my dad, of course.
Oh, there we go.
He's complaining that he can't read the screen, but, you know.
The senior of the LaRussa family.
Yeah, but actually...
The patriarch.
He can't read the screen, but he's typed everything perfectly. Go figure.
Really?
So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, it takes patience.
Yeah. So, so that's about it, what I'm seeing right now. But
Nice. Why don't you hit the live screen,
okay.
and we'll go back. I got Vin running the scenes on OBS tonight.
So much pressure on. So much pressure
So much
on me.
pressure.
I did not sign up for this. But
So before we dig into the next one, I just want to reference a couple more things from this discography because it's really profound. And I started listening to a whole bunch of stuff. By the way, he also made a brief appearance in the movie Funny People that Adam Sandler put out. And he's a member of a jam band that Sandler hires to play with him. So he made an appearance in that movie. So those are fun little facts, right, to have. So let's check this out. All right, this discography is way too long. I'm not going to go through all of it.
I was going to say about the discography, it's hard when we're trying to choose songs.
Oh,
when
man.
somebody has, how many did we have to say? All right, it's just too many. We just
We had too many songs. I mean, basically, I kind of feel like I wanted to kind of spread it out even more, but then I was like, man, let's go through the stuff that kind of was influential at first for me. But you'll be surprised some of the people that are on this list. So, like for instance, and this, I may have known this, but he played with Patti LaBelle, played with Aaron Neville, and of course, on a lot of these records, man, you'll see it's like Al Green and James Gadson and Paul Humphrey. There's a bunch of different drummers on these records. So when you're looking at the sessions, for each record, go through the personnel, and oftentimes the guys aren't even credited. And if you go back to, like Vin was saying, if you go back to the days of like the Wrecking Crew and stuff like that, there are a lot of records guys were just playing sessions on. They were never credited, and they didn't even know that they played on some tunes because they would go in the studio, and oftentimes it would just be a little backing track, not a backing track, a little scratch piano or scratch guitar part.
A chart. They would have a chart.
They would have a chart,
yeah.
And they would just play down what was on the chart, but they never heard the vocal. And then the tune would come out, so they were basically playing like backing track type stuff. That's why it was just groove. There was not a lot of fills and stuff going on. And then the tune would come out later, and it would be a huge hit.
Shit.
And these guys made like $11 to go in the studio and basically lay down the what's that?
And gals.
And gals. That's right.
For instance, if you had someone like Carol Kay.
Yeah, I was just telling
bass player.
Lucia about Carol Kay the other
Imagine
day.
playing on 10,000 plus songs. I can't even imagine that's how many sessions or songs that she played on.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
We'll probably have to do like a Wrecking Crew night.
Yep.
But oftentimes they weren't credited, or they didn't even know that they played on these hit records, and somebody might have said like, "Hey man, yeah, that's you on that thing," and they found out about it later, which is pretty crazy.
Right.
So I mentioned Patti LaBelle, I mentioned Aaron Neville, Bette Midler, of course Bill Withers, Helen Reddy. Check out the Beck records, Sea Change, The Information, and Morning Phase. Those Beck records are really cool, and Gadson's got some great tracks on there, among other guys. And then Justin Timberlake, he was on Make Do With What You Got, 2005. Also Albert King, Lana Del Rey, Just the list goes on and on and on. And, you know, it's pretty impressive. And it does get pretty wide, you know, a palette of types of playing, like Norah Jones, Jose Feliciano, Natalie Cole, Phoebe Snow, Patrice Rushen, like all this different stuff, man. It's really amazing the amount of stuff that this gentleman has played on, and I think the amount of influence that he's had on people. So the next one that we're gonna lay down is by an artist, Cheryl Lynn, who you know, is a soul singer, and this song has been played at like lots of club dates, man. My band played this on tons of, you know, corporates, weddings, all that kind of stuff. This was always like one of the most requested, or something that was always in the set. But this tune's called "Got to Be Real," and it's got some great horn stuff in it. But I just love the simplicity of it. It does not overplay. I think we are kind of playing the same thing, bass drum and bass. Mm-hmm. Have your cloth, Schmengi. All right. All right, so here's "Got to Be Real." 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Changed it on you.
Yeah, you did. But that's what the modulation is.
So we're going to talk about the modulation, but so basically, you know, that tune, man, I've had to play that tune many times, but real simple, and really the bass drum and bass are locking it up on a lot of these sort of you know, R&B tunes that were heading into the disco era. There's a lot of that kind of thing, although oftentimes the drums are playing just 1 and 3 or 4 on the floor. But it wouldn't have worked for this tune, I don't think. Let me hear that. What if I played...
Was it my same bass line?
Yeah, your same bass line. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It definitely locks up better in that it works on the first bar, but on the second bar you kind of need the accenting. But yeah, so, you know, really simplistic part. And also, I want to say that it takes a lot of restraint to play these songs, you know, with the same intention and same simplicity of these records. Like, I know that, you know, I mean... playing this in like a 10-piece band with horns, you know, I would try to really pay respect to the record. At times we would take some liberties, but most of the time just trying to only stick to the groove for the whole thing. One of those songs that people massacre is Play That Funky Music, which is super simple and takes a lot of restraint to play that song like the record. And it's, you know, these kind of groove tunes, that's what you have to do. And go deeper into your groove feel, you know, and it's sort of, I mean, that's what the greats are doing, you know. If you listen to like a Steve Jordan track with John Mayer, the drumming is really simple, but really deep and really wide open. Like, really amazing. What's that?
And I was going to say, you mentioned it earlier about AC/DC. The same can be applied to a hard rock heavy metal band where they're doing like Back in Black, or, you know, Phil Rudd, the way he would play was like really kind of simple pocket groove playing. And
I was talking about that with a young student the other day about AC/DC being a perfect example of that, where it's like there's nothing extra. It's groove. Yeah. You know, it's all groove. You know, maybe on the more up-tempo stuff. But for the most part, he was playing groove. I think their later drummer, I forget the guy's name, the bald guy that was playing with them, you know, he might have dug in and did some more fills. But if you listen to early Phil Rudd, there's not a lot of fills. Yeah. But, you know, back to this. So Got to Be Real, very cool little tune. We were setting up, that little hit goes to the modulation in the tune, and the groove doesn't change. It goes to this modulation, but then later on, there's vocal comps that go on, and he simplified the groove and went into a quarter note feel. So what if we go to the modulation, and then play the groove 4 bars of the regular way, and then go into that quarter note, doo-doo, doo-doo, that whole doo-doots part. You know what I'm talking about?
So taking it from the top of the modulation when
just do the build.
Okay.
Dun, 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 boom, boom, boom,
okay.
Boom. Got it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Yeah, so I like the openness that he goes to in that second half of the tune, and you know, again, totally simple, but you know, just opens it up, and he doesn't deviate. It stays like that through that whole part of the tune. So you know, Groove Master. That's why we call it Groove Master. We're exploring the Groove Masters. Super fun. What's how are we doing on time right now?
Yeah, we're good.
Because I know I'd be chatting too much.
We still got some time.
All right. So let me just reference 1 or 2 more things, and then we're going to play this other tune. And actually, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the other tune, so that should be okay. If you look up, you know, these records, look up the other drummers too that are playing on them. So we're going to do an Al Green night, not next. I think it's going to be one after, but we're going to do Al Green. We have something planned coming up. And but I have another list where it's saying that that in 2009, Gadson joined Beck, Wilco, Feist, and Jamie Liddell covering Skip Spence's Or as part of Beck's Record Club series, with videos appearing on Beck's website beginning in November 2009. So there's a bunch of sort of cross-pollination at that time from the whole Beck thing. And that's something also to look into and check out those tracks. And also there's one other TV appearance that's kind of funny. He was featured on Gordon Ramsay's 24 Hours to Hell and Back because his niece and nephew have a restaurant called Bayou on the Vine. And it was renamed Gadson's Restaurant and Jazz Club.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool. So a little bit of trivia, a little bit of trivia happening there. Cool. All right. So we still have 2 more. What am I saying?
We have a couple more.
Let's do a couple more at least. I have to keep it moving. I know I talk too much, man.
Foods.
You're right. Did we do I Want You?
No, we got to do. I don't want to spare it. You know.
We got to do that.
Let's do the Donald Fagen tune.
Oh, you're gonna go out of order? Okay.
I don't know. You. Oh, all right.
No,
all right.
it's all good.
Yeah.
It's completely out of order. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. All right, let's do that. 1, 2. So that's IGY by Donald Fagen. So what I kind of like about that one, what I really like about that one, I said this to Vin when we were starting to look at that. Man, he plays like a straight shuffle through most of it. There's not a single ghost note really happening. Not really. I mean, I didn't listen to the fade out, but most of the time, and he leaves his stick on the snare, and I'm getting a little bit of that little shake that's in there that I like. But I like that this is really simplistic. And one thing that's really cool is when so at the top, you know, we have that little... So right there, simple entrance, you know, hi-hat bark. And then, you know, throughout the tune, there's no real crashes. It's those ride cymbal taps that we talked about. And, you know, the trombone, there's like a horn part, a horn theme. And in the horn theme, he leaves out the one at the top of the 4-bar pattern a couple times. Here, check this out. So we'll go 1, 2. This is like where the horns come in. 2, 3, 4. So again, it's like a pickup note with that kick drum. And I like that there's no ghosting in this one. You know, it's like you think of Donald Fagen coming from this Steely Dan camp. It's like they had every kind of cool shuffle on all those records, right? And then this one, very intentionally, is super sparse. But it feels great. Listen to that album and listen to, you know, what Gadson brought to life in that. And even the top of that tune, I put the hi-hat in for our benefit, but it's not in there. It's just those little ride cymbal taps again. Really simple, great record. Great playing on James Gadson's part. I love that one. Yeah, man, let's keep moving.
I do realize we skipped a Bill Withers tune.
Which
Maybe
one?
that one, Killing My Love? Kissing My Love?
Oh, yeah, that was going to be last. Well, where are we up to? I mean, time-wise, Killing My Love.
Killing My Love.
It's not Killing My Love, it's Kissing My Love.
All right,
It's a love song, man.
We got...
What's the matter with you?
We want to do we got the Jacksons thing, and we got the Marvin Gaye thing.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Damn, you should have cut off my rants.
What do you mean?
Bantering. All right, let's do the Jackson.
I thought this was the Phil and the Grooves extended edition. Didn't you tell me you were giving us one?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that though.
You didn't?
No. But that's right. I was under pressure because I was trying to get it all
Why
in.
would anybody want to leave this? All this fun and excitement. Come on, man.
That's true. We're going a little long tonight.
Providing
So.
a service.
We are. All right, let's do the Jacksons thing. Oh my God. So.
I don't know what I like my music.
This one, for me, is a total departure, I think, in the James Gadson stuff. Like, some things that I heard in here, I was like, oh, man, I didn't hear him do that before. I have to remember this form that we worked out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and... we got the form. All right, I forgot to mute my mic on all those. That's all right, I think. So this Jackson's tune, man, first of all, it comes in with like great horns, right?
Yeah.
Ultra produced. Ultra produced. And it was making me think like, do I hear the stamp of James Gadson in this? Like, or is this like producers going like, hey man, play this, hey, play this, and giving him things to play? Because first of all, you got the horn hits, and the way he sets them up, the horn hits are basically this. 2. That's the set of hits. And the fill that he did is on the kick drum, which I thought was really brilliant. I don't know who came up with that, if he did it himself, but that was really good. So play the hits one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's a cool set of hits, right?
And also the hi-hat that goes in right before you start the groove. That's
Yeah.
That little.
So there's a little
that.
hi-hat setup fill, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So when he hits that last hit, so that's pretty interesting. And each time he's got a different little setup, you know, so very, very small stuff and always in the groove, right? So like going into, well, let's just talk about the main groove for a second. So this is a Jackson's tune from the 70s, right? So
75, I believe.
75. So first of all, his main groove is this. So and I've watched him play his hi-hat. So he does like a very low molar pumping kind of thing for like shuffles and his 16th note thing. This. So he's playing with the butt here and then getting the taps in between. So he does do this. And on this, he's playing this. So it sounds to me like tap, tap, shoulder, which is kind of the way I like playing that groove. And there's not a lot of ghosting in there. So like my go-to ghosting thing is this. So I'm usually filling in between there, but it's not really there. I hear a couple on the record, but not a lot. And play that bass line like once the verse starts. 2, 3, 4. Let's do the stops. That's a really cool, nifty little drum part.
And I was going to say, interesting how you talked about how the other song where the bass guitar and the drums were doing kind of locking in. The bass player's just going.
Yeah. So
It's
because think about the purpose, right?
Yeah.
This is dance music. Somebody's got to be on the floor,
Yeah,
four on the floor, right? So it went to the bass player,
Yeah.
and he's definitely covering. I mean, he's covering, but it's the grease is up on top.
Yeah.
So I really love that groove, and it surprised me, honestly, because everybody's like, what did Frankie say? You ready for the 16th note assault? But there is a lot of 16th notey kind of stuff, right? Like when I listened to the Paul McCartney album that he played on, that's the groove that he's playing on that. So I think a lot of people would hear the Bill Withers stuff and go, man, you do that 16th note thing on my song? Like, that's what I want on my song. But obviously on this one, it's a different thing. There is a 16th note kind of urgency on top of it. It moves, it's pushing. But it's greasy. I like the feel of the jam, it's like a shaker. And then when it goes into this interlude, oh, you don't play on that.
I do the
so
little
it's
lick.
like it's a vocal thing, right?
No, it's just a horn thing.
Oh, horns. Oh, yeah. And then the other cool thing played a different groove there.
Yeah.
He played 16th notes on the hi-hat, alternating, boom, ga, boom, boom, ga, which I was like, oh, wow, like for 2 bars. And the 2 bars, play your bass part for those 2 bars. So the bass changed also, and it's just a 2-bar interlude. So it's the riff, that 2-bar interlude, and then the riff again. Do it from the riff the first time. Then we do the 2-bar interlude and the riff.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's really, interesting. And then there is an outro where James changes to 16th notes with that same groove, and then the bass is doing a bunch of like cool, busy stuff on the way out.
It's kind of like the bass is like kind of following the vocal. Why'd you get down? Why'd you get down?
Yeah. So I mean, look, for you, like, I was totally into rock and roll when I was a kid, and it was like, disco sucks. And then when I got a little bit older, I was like, oh man, those guys were playing some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it, like as I started working, like in my teens, I was working for regional theaters, like playing a lot of theater kind of stuff. And so I did a lot of shows and revival shows, and I had to play brushes and very light and all this stuff. And then when I started like doing club dates, like wedding gigs, then, you're playing with like good musicians most of the time in those bands that I was playing in, and with horns, and now you had to just lay down stuff, really simple, play for the song, play for dancing. And another thing, I would say is, from that experience that I learned, just real quick about the disco thing, is that every band leader when I was a kid was like, no, when you play disco, I want to hear doom sats, doom sats. And if you listen to a lot of disco tunes, that's not there. There's percussion, and then parts of songs you'll hear the hi-hat thing come in, but it's like they would do remixes of disco tunes later on in the 80s, and they would just put hi-hat openings all over it, right? So it was always... But most of the time, drummers were playing this, like more like... Or, and then maybe there was 4 on the floor on some of those tunes, but there was some more openness to the playing back in the 70s disco era stuff. So, don't let stereotypes in music fool you. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in these tracks. All right, cool, man. What about I think we did Dance Machine. We did IGY. I think we got to hit Lovely Day. No, we did that.
No. Kiss in my love, not.
No. We missed one. Oh, I Want You.
I Want You.
Because speaking of disco era kind of sounding stuff, anyway. So I Want You. This is Marvin Gaye, and again, like this is a total dance tune. But the interesting thing is, this groove is so wide and sparse. So there's an intro groove that we're going to play, and then it goes into, like, it kicks in, but it doesn't kick in. And you'll see, like, it never really kicks in, like, into what we know as a backbeat being really present in the tune. And they didn't even, like, put hand claps in. It's meant to be really wide like that, and it's a vamp. Think about James Brown stuff. Like, whole tunes are written on vamps. This is like a vamp that runs through the whole song. So it's a really interesting thing. And, I've played this with a very good vocalist who can sing this stuff really well. And I was always like, when I was younger, I was like, what? Like, why? But it really is just about making that groove feel as deep as possible, even though it's a repetitive kind of thing. So, all right, let's do it. So we're just going to do that intro, and then I'll set up so you know when to go to the thingamajaggers.
Mm-hmm.
10 bars, right? So it's a 10-bar form in the
but that's
beginning.
basically it,
Yeah. So I did it on the 8 where I put the fill, but it's actually 10 bars at the top of that tune, and then it goes to like an 8-bar form after that. But you notice that when the snare kicked in, it's not on the 2 and 4; it's just on the 2, and that's really interesting. And he also drops the openings on the hi-hat. So when Gadson goes into the verse groove, he goes to this 2, 3. I'll do the setup 2, 1, 2. I hit a rim click.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? He hit a rim click in this tune, and what just reminded me is I hit the rim click, and he hits a rim click on the, I don't know if it's a first fill or the second fill. There's a, just what I did, because I guess when you're coming out of here, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And then I hear him drop out the one hand, and he'll play eighth notes on coming into the fill. And there's one of these in there, and I heard it when I was writing the transcription, which I love that stuff, and I love when it's left in, because it's like little Easter eggs in the tunes, right?
They wouldn't do that these days. They would go
No,
on
they
Pro
would fix
Tools and they would take it out, and that's the spice. I call it's the spice. That,
Exactly, the humanness of it.
Yeah.
It's like, check this out. Like when you hear that stuff on a record, you should feel fortunate that you found it.
Absolutely.
And not be critical, because that stuff is super fun. And there were, back in the day, time was money. Like now, you can go on Pro Tools and you can do 787 takes if you want to, in somebody's home studio, and they're not rolling the meter.
Well,
and back then it was like, okay, you got 2 takes, so bring it. And if there was a mistake on there, oftentimes it went on the record. What were you going to say?
my good friend Paul Stanley quoted last week, and I wrote this down.
Paul Stanley said this.
Perfection will never replace passion.
That's true. That's true, man. Hey, and take a note from that, and that is this: don't waste your energy comparing yourself to other musicians. Just follow your journey. Do what you do.
I remember you
Enjoy that.
giving me one lesson when I would come in here and beat myself up after hearing you play for like 3 seconds.
And then I would smack you.
Well, we don't want to go into the charges,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah, that's true.
But you said to me once, if you could do one thing really well, and it's just one thing, even if it's just laying down, 2 and 4, 1 and 3 on the drums, simple. If you could do that, really, you've already achieved your goal. And it really made me think that differently. Like I don't have to come in here and play like Neil Peart.
Right.
That'd be great, but it doesn't have to be that.
I like that guy. Who said that?
Jim Toscano. That wasn't Paul Stanley.
Because it's true, man. Though it is so true. It's like, look, whatever your journey is. Like when I always reference this because I'm writing that whole shuffle evolution, which IGY is going to the shuffle evolution.
Good.
But I sucked at shuffles when I got to the Drummers Collective when I was a kid.
But ironically, you were good with the cards.
That's right. And Kim Plainfield was like offering me a subbing gig on some blues gig. And I was like, oh my God, my shuffle game is not happening. I worked so hard on shuffles. I just went and shedded shuffles for like months. But it's like, I was enjoying the journey. I had fun with it. I did beat myself up at first because I was like, oh my God, Kim wants me to play shuffles. I can't do shuffles. Rest in peace, Kim. And and so, I had fun sitting and writing out everybody's shuffles and figuring out what people were playing and what made this shuffle different than that shuffle. Speaking of shuffles, we're going to play another one. So, yeah. Well, check the chat real quick while I get this next one set up.
Live scene.
I'm losing my mind.
Let me take a look on this stuff right here.
Don't cry. It's okay.
Hopefully, who's this? Hopefully, that's my dad. Hopefully, you guys will do some deep info with the band MFSB, Mother, Father, Sister, Brother. They were Philadelphia. They were part of that Philly sound. So as I grew up, and my dad was very influential on that kind of stuff, which was cool. Got to hear all that great stuff.
Yeah, man.
And my mom, too. Let me just throw that out, because then she'll get upset with me if I don't say it.
You gotta keep mom.
Frank Dior said greasy.
Greasy. Make it greasy.
Ross. Chris Slade, that's the drummer from AC/DC, the bald guy, as you eloquently said.
Chris Slade.
And David Guerra?
Dave Guerra.
Guerra. Hey, Jim.
What's up, Dave?
Jim.
Yeah, baby.
So,
I'm glad Dave's here.
Yeah.
Dave's a good friend of mine. We've done some kayaking and snowboarding together, and we both have a great love for Miles Davis and other great jazz musicians. Dave's one of a kind, good friend of mine. Yeah, man. All right, let's hit the
full screen.
The full screen.
Getting good at this.
You're getting good at it.
Yeah.
So this last one is like, it's kind of funny because I think this one is newer to me than the other ones had been, and I will tell you that listening to an interview with James Gadson recently, this was supposed to be a shuffle tune that's coming up, and then I don't know who changed it. It was supposed to be like a full-on shuffle, like a, I don't know if it was going to be a Chicago shuffle like that or just a, and it became something else, a more funk-driven kind of greasy funk thing, which reminds me of a little New Orleans-y kindness to it, and maybe this is a piece of Kansas City funk, but it's a really cool tune, and it was sort of new to me. So we're not going to give you the title. We're going to just start playing it.
You should after we play it, check out the YouTube clip of this. It's awesome.
Oh, I know.
You really see him digging in.
Yeah, he's really digging in, so it's got a little breakbeat kind of. It's been super sampled and used on a lot of records. The hip hop community has sampled the hell out of a lot of this stuff. But and this is a newer one for me. I'm actually taking it down tempo slightly, just to make sure I play it correctly. But so it'll be the 8-bar like little intro thing, and then you come in, and then we're just gonna play a little bit of up to the chorus, I guess, right?
Yeah, into the chorus,
then the
we'll go
chorus, and then out. All right,
Yeah.
so. Cool. So that's Kissin' My Love. Quarter note equals 92. We took it down a little bit. And only because I'm trying to get all the placement of all the little cool things that are in there. So that Kissin' My Love tune, the swing stayed in there. And when I was watching him, he was really right here. And actually, he's playing a traditional grip, but he's playing... And there's a 2-bar pattern that is kind of the premise, the repeating pattern. Although the breakbeat stuff up in the front, that 8-bar thing is so great because there's one point where he kind of like gives a little turnaround, takes the 4 backbeat out, which I love. But here's the 2-bar pattern. So he's doing So you play the bass line with that, so we just get how that locked in with the bass drum. And the bass line has all this sparseness in it, but he's not playing any kick drums on 2 and 3. He comes in on the of 3, so there's a good space right in the middle. He's playing on the 1 and at the end of the bar with the kick drum. And actually, it reminds me of like the Radcliffe groove. Stanton Moore references this in his book Groove Alchemy, where he's playing like a two-handed thing. Right, but that's like a repeating, that's like half the bar, right, of this. So on this thing, it's greasier and it's a one-handed kind of thing, but you can kind of hear that sort of influence, you know, that sort of, I don't know, it's got a New Orleans-y thing for me in there. 1, 2, 3. Really cool little groove. And then, yeah, we'll talk about that chorus part. Just what I was going to say up in the top, he's kind of building the groove in from the drum break in the top, or the intro groove. It's a drum break before the song starts. But and it's a cool way to learn to play this feel. So if you were just locking down this, and then you worked on each like partial that needs to be in the groove. So the 1 and the up top. And notice if I played it up here, it would feel different and sound different. But getting this in there fattens it up a lot. And it's also, you know, this shuffle, it's a halftime-ish shuffle, but it's not totally swung,
but does
partially swung.
Does it make it harder to play it when you're moving it down because you're not getting the rebound on the hi-hat?
So there's a lot of like this kind of push-pull that's going on in my hand. The other thing is, you know, if you're loose enough, if you're not a gripper, you're not going to kill yourself trying to play this. And it's not right? So it's kind of a little bit straighter. And then he's playing the of 3 also. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this last bar, he goes. So I really like that bar, and that's like a cool one, just as like its own little breakbeat.
Yeah.
I'm playing that badly. Yeah. So actually, what the strategy has to be is don't lose this. As soon as you start following your kick drum with your hi-hat accents, you're done. You're baked. So yeah, so it's really important to keep this on the top.
And the other thing that's interesting, like I said, watch the YouTube video. You can see in his face how he's trying to work this groove. You know,
oh my God, yeah.
And to what I was saying about, you know, session drummers in the 70s and stuff. Like now, you could have a guy who could play that for 4 bars and say, okay, we'll copy and paste it over and over again. He had to play this for however the length of the song was, 4 minutes, man. You couldn't say, can you kind of copy paste that? You got me with 3 good bars there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. They would be copying and pasting that, you know, trying to get like a decent performance. But so these guys were playing this stuff, you know, getting a take, and that was it, right? So when we go into the, let's play that chorus. So, and there is a little turnaround in the verse thing, but let's just talk about that chorus part because the groove does change. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and So I like that little boom.
Right.
And that's the only place where he breaks the hi-hat rhythm. He goes boom, boom, right? And but right back to it. Boom, boom, or yeah, it's just a one little stop and then right back into it. So that's a really cool one. And actually, it's something that I think I'm going to use with my students a bunch because it is that, you know, partial swing thing. And there's a lot of room for like writing up variations of this thing, which I think would be really cool. The other thing I want to mention, Mike Adamo's book, The Breakbeat Bible, has some exercises that are really great for playing this stuff and transcriptions of lots of great classic breakbeat stuff. So the Breakbeat Bible, and the funny thing is I met him like in 2009 or 10 at a restaurant, like sitting with a whole bunch of drummers. And he's like, hey man, I wrote this book, The Breakbeat Bible. And I was like, okay, cool. And he gave me his book, and I put it on my shelf, and I never really messed with it. And then, you know, after doing like Stanton's book and stuff, then I just rediscovered that book, and I was like, man, that's a really cool book. There's some fun stuff in there. So check out The Breakbeat Bible. It's definitely got some fun stuff. I don't think this tune is in there, but I saw some material that would give you some, like a workbook on this. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Well, I know we didn't rehearse that other one, but do you want to try a little of that, Express Yourself? Like,
just mentioning like the first album credit that he had, the first hit band that he had, which it's a long title for that band, but it's let me go back to that title so I can read it properly.
Charles Wright,
Yes.
Watts, 103rd Street.
Yeah, exactly. I always say it wrong, so I just want to double check it. But so it's Charles Wright's Watts, 103rd Street Rhythm Band.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, if you did that as, take the first letter of each one, an acronym, we got CWW 103SRB. CWW 103SRB. That's what it is.
Sounds like a radio station.
It does. I don't know if I even have this chart anyway. So just see if you know which one this is, or did you already say it and blow it? It Got to Be Real, we can get rid of.
I think I might have.
Use Me, we already did. Dancing Machine's gone, we can get rid of that. Lovely Day, we did.
It was one.
Kiss of My Love, we just worked on. Here it is. So this thing, I don't really have the parts, but I'm just gonna play part of this groove up at the top, and this tune, I never really looked at this before. It's got some interesting little stuff going on. So the main groove, 1, 2, and he's. What I think is interesting is he's two-handing this. Yeah. I thought it was going to be a one-handed thing, but he's two-handing it. So, well, I think so. 2, 3, 4. And then actually the pre-chorus is kind of interesting.
Yes.
Do you know that one?
We didn't rehearse it, but yeah.
Here's the pre-chorus. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and then, it's kind of interesting when you go into this tune, there's an interlude where I was, like, looking at it, and I'm like, oh, man, I'd have to, like, practice that a little bit. There's, like, some turnarounds that he does that are kind of interesting.
Really cool.
And what I like about it is I realize that there's some of this in it. Like, but he's alternating,
You know what that
right?
reminded me of the Zigaboo there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's a little bit of zig in here. And so, like, for instance, this bar, there it is. right there, that's, not swung, and not really as interesting as the zig thing, right? But a little bit of that influence. And he does that one again. He goes, he plays sort of a backwards backbeat thing, right? He'll go, right? So that right there, I'm like totally blowing it, but. And so it's all of this movement that's in there. And so this is the first time I ever started really looking at this tune. And so I'm going to go through this one. And the interlude is like a 12-bar thing, 8-bar thing. And it's got a little build at the end of it. But, man, that's some interesting stuff coming out of him. And I totally didn't peg that for being like the Gadson thing. Because he was the first one to say that, man, he played time. And this is like, it's time, all right, but it's tricky stuff, But it's not like the zig thing, like with the, that kind of stuff. But it's very cool. So yeah, express yourself. So that's like goes back to the beginning, the roots of him. And I wish I could have done that tune more justice, but I didn't really do it. So, but I don't care. It's all good, man. It was fun to talk about the stuff and to explore and go down the James Gadson rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I think, stay tuned for some of these. We're going to be breaking down some more guys, and we'll get more in depth. I'm not announcing the next one yet, but I will soon. And also there's some great interviews coming up. And so next week I'm doing some more drum set, like Phil kind of stuff. And the week after that I have Don Famularo on. And then coming up in April, I have David Garibaldi coming on. I have Stan Moore coming on. And then in May, I got thank you. I got Joe Bergamini coming in, and Daniel Glass, and others. Man, I got more guys coming. So it's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna be talking to a lot of drummers and educators that I'm friends with, and guys that have really made a great impact in either the education world or the drumming world, or both in a lot of cases. So thanks to my special guest, Vincent LaRussa over here, this wonderful man bringing his bass over and playing in my crazy little world. Less pressure today, right? Did you feel like there was a little less pressure? Like running the show? I gave him some show duty to do, so.
You told me last minute, but I handled it,
Yeah, we just, the only thing we're missing at this point is another monitor for the new system. So we have a new computer system running everything, but hopefully it went really well. Hopefully the sound was good.
We should also mention that Jim's feature in Rhythm Magazine, folks, if you haven't seen that. Jim actually was kind enough to give me a copy yesterday. He's got a 38-page centerfold spread of all his hard work and dedication to all this technology that he gets to work. So I want to congratulate Jim personally. We worked together way back and some ideas, and man, he took it to levels I never thought were possible. So great job, Jim, and you should pick up Rhythm Magazine and check it out. Very worthy read and an education on how to get this done.
Thanks for the plug, Van. Yeah, I mean the Rhythm Magazine thing. It's still available, and there's a great guide to this stuff. I'm also building a course, which is going to be on the platform Thinkific pretty soon, on this same topic. From Rhythm Magazine, the technology for drummers, and we're building a full course on that. So that'll be coming up soon with my good friend Scott Kettner, who's also going to be a guest on the show pretty soon. We'll talk to you guys soon. We definitely had a good time tonight, and breaking down some of these classic grooves. And thank you for listening and for hanging with us. Before we head out, hit the chat window one more time, and we'll just say goodnight to a couple of folks. If they haven't trailed off already. I know we went a little long tonight.
I see another name here. I don't think I mentioned this one. Steve
Balguion?
Yep.
Yeah,
Great issue
Steve,
of Rhythm
man.
Magazine. I'll be in touch soon, Jim.
Yeah, man. I'm going to be seeing you soon, Steve. Thanks for hanging. I appreciate it.
And we got a whole bunch of... my buddy Matt. My buddy Matt, The Situation.
Yeah,
he said, rock
Matt.
on, boys. And just looks like we got a lot of good response here. Lucia, thank you so much. Had a great time. See you on Thursday for another plug, the Hand Technique Workshop.
Yes, that's right. Thursdays, right here, the same 3 channels.
Yep.
My YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitch. We love the Twitch community because they come in and say funny things to us. But yeah, so Thursday night, the Hand Technique Workshop. We'll be doing more goodies with that. Come in, bring a practice pad, some sticks, hang out with us, and do some fun warm-ups. We've been doing a lot of really cool stuff with that lately. Some fun, mind-expanding kind of things. So yeah, man. Thank you, everybody. We're gonna roll the credits in a moment here, and I appreciate everybody's support. And we're just having a good time, and that's what it's all about, man. This little community of the weird extended family of drummers, and that is us. So I'll see you guys soon. Thanks to Vin.
Thank you, Jim, for having me.
Talk to you later. Roll.